lesson, we will be factoring polynomials in the form x squared plus bx plus c. But first, let's review multiplying your binomials because it's actually the reverse process. So remember, we have the FOIL method. We multiply the first terms, which gives us x squared. You multiply the outer terms, catching this sign, which would be a negative 5x. The inner terms now would be 3 times x, which is plus 3x. And finally, the last two terms, the positive 3 and the negative 5, which would be minus 15. Remember, we put together our like terms, so it's x squared minus 2x minus 15. So for today, we're actually going to be starting off with this answer, and we're going to be asked to factor them, to give two binomials that when you multiply them, you end up with the question that they actually have given us. And you'll see that on this side, I have a very extensive list of the steps because it will help us remember what we need to do. And I will be going through it step by step by step. So notice for number 1, I've labeled my A is actually a 1. And so therefore we're following these steps. My B is a negative 8. And remember, that's like our middle term here. And C is the number that we have there. So now when we go ahead and we start, our goal is going to be to have two binomials that equal this. We're going to list the factors of C. Well, I know 1 times 15 is a factor, 2 factors, and 3 times 5. So my goal is, and I'm going to write my little parentheses here, and we'll go ahead now and we're going to fill in the very beginning. Well, I see an x squared, so I know I have an x and an x there, because when I FOIL the first terms, that would be x squared. So now, in order to decide on what numbers and what signs to put in there, I needed to find two factors that when you multiply them together, you get letter B right here. And we see that that is a 3 and a 5. So now we're going to deal with looking at our second sign, which is right here. And we are on step 4. We look at the second sign. Well, if the second sign is a plus, you're either going to have 2 plus signs here, or you're going to have 2 negative signs. So since that is a plus, I know that I have to have 2 subtraction signs there. And I am going to, doesn't matter the order, I'll put my 3 there, I will put my 5 there. And now at this point, this is your answer. Okay, so here it is. This is our answer to this problem. We have now factored it. But let's go ahead and let's check to make sure if we FOIL, we will end up where we started. So x times x is x squared. Doing the bookends, it's a negative 5x. Multiplying a negative 3 times x, it's a negative 3x. And then you end, both of these are negative, so it's plus 15. And when you put that together, you do get x squared minus 8x plus 15. So we are happy. We know that this indeed is our answer for the first one. Okay, well, let's look at the second problem. The second problem is x squared plus 5x minus 6. Again, we want to go ahead and we want to list the factors of 6 because remember, this is our letter C. So I know 1 times 6 and I know 2 times 3. And that's it. So now when I am looking at this, I'm going to put my parentheses there because there's my 2 binomials. I only need to get an x squared for my first term. So I'm putting my x. And now let's go ahead and let's deal with the second sign. I see I have a subtraction sign here. So we know that the signs are going to have to be different. And when I'm saying the signs are different, that means we have to have a little subtraction problem. And we want to end up with a positive 5. So if my signs have to be different, I'm looking at this right here. If I make my 6 positive and I make the 1 negative, 6 plus a negative 1 is a positive 5. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to write a plus 6, and then I'm going to write a minus 1. And that is the answer to our problem right here. Now let's check it to make sure we've done it correctly. We're foiling. X times x is x squared. The outer terms, we get a negative 1 times x is minus 1x. The inner terms, 6 times x is plus 6x. And when we multiply the last, we have a positive 6 and a negative 1. So that is minus 6. We put these two terms together and we get x squared plus 5x minus 6. So we do know that answer is definitely correct. There is our answer of factoring our trinomial into two binomials. For question number 3, we have x squared minus 13x plus 42. Okay, so we want the factors of 42. And you might say, well, that's going to take a long time. It's not so bad. We're just going to say, well, 1 times 42. We know it's 2 times 21. Remember, I am going to want to have, this is a plus sign. So going back to that, I know that I have to have two negative signs to put together to equal 13. So both of these as being negative would not equal 13. So I have a 3 and a 14, and I have a 6 and a 7. And remember, they both have to be negative in order to end up with that positive 42. So I do see a winner here. Finally, when I do my negative 6 times a negative 7 is going to give me a positive 42. So let's start our brackets. Yes, we start off with x because it's just x squared. Remember, this is a plus sign. So if the signs are the same, we know that we're going to go ahead and we're going to have either two positives or two negatives. Well, since that's a negative, I'm having a negative there. And now I know that I'm going to go ahead and put my 6 and my 7, because when I FOIL, my outside is a negative 7, my inside is a negative 6, I will get my answer. So let's go ahead and let's double check this answer. X times x is x squared. A negative 7x times x is a negative 7x. On the inside, a negative 6 times x is a negative 6x. And we end up with a plus 42. So looking at this, I'm putting this together. And that proves to us that our answer is correct. Now, number 4 has something a little bit different. We notice it's x squared plus 12xy plus 32y squared. So when I set this up, I am going to have x's here to start with, but I'll have numbers, but I have to have a y here at the end also. So that one is just a little bit different of what we had done. So let's start with the factors of 32. And let's look at the sign just so we know what we're dealing with. Notice it is a plus 32 and it is a plus 12. So that means that I have to go ahead and have both of them being positive. So I'm going 1 times 32. Well, that doesn't work. 2 times 16, that won't add up because remember, they're both positive. So they are going to add up to, and I'm just going to put that positive sign there. They have to add up to 12 for your middle term. And so I know, well, 4 times 8 is 32. So if I'm going to use this, I'm going to put x plus 4y times x plus 8y. And I believe this is the answer, but let's check it. When we FOIL the outside, we get x squared. We multiply our outer terms, we get plus 8xy. The inner terms is plus 4xy. And in the end, 4 times 8 is plus 32, and y times y is y squared. Again, we put together our inner terms, and we end up with where we started. So we know that this definitely does check out because we ended up with our original. So this is the answer to factoring the trinomial to 2 binomials. If this video was helpful to you today, please add a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more Math with Marcia. See you again soon.